Hey there, you weebs, and today I will be reviewing Rance 5D, The Lonely Girl. I've kind of accepted the fact that I'm pretty much now obligated to review every Rance game, so before I get to Rance 10, because that'll be a big episode, I thought I'd tackle some of the smaller titles. Though I realize I really have to re-review Sengoku Rance because my original review was horrible. And probably redo 6 as well because I didn't really like how that turned out either. I have a lot to do. But anyways, Rance 5D. This is considered to be the black sheep of sorts of the Rance series. And a lot of people consider it to be the worst game. While it is probably my least favorite of the modern titles, unless you want to count Quest and Quest Magnum as the exact same thing, makes me realize I have to review Quest Magnum also. Anyways, I don't think this is a bad game whatsoever, and I like it quite a lot. However, if I were to describe it, I would just say this game is really, really weird. But I'll get to that when I talk about the gameplay. The story is relatively simple, following Rance and Syl as they get lost in a cave and end up in Genbu's castle. They then meet the beautiful and mysterious Rizna, and all of them have to figure out how to escape. It's not going to win any awards for greatest story ever, but I like it a lot as a very cute little adventure. It's also the start of the modern timeline and does a good job introducing you to the characters. The game was never intended to be on the same scale as something like Kishikyo. In fact, that's why it's called 5D, because Atlasoft kept trying to make something on that same scale. So I won't be judging it as harshly due to that fact. And of course, a Rance game is not complete without its fantastic cast of characters, this being no exception. While the character cast is relatively small, I think it actually benefits it as they all feel really well developed and they all contribute something to the story. Rance is, of course, our main character. He's a brutal warrior, and when I say brutal, I mean really brutal in this game. Let's just say Rance does some things that, even by his standards, are really not okay. Like, him raping girls is just par for the course for me, and I'm just used to that, but he goes beyond and above that, and is, like I said, really, really messed up things. However, this was the whole start of Rance's modern character arc, and him becoming a better person. So I do appreciate that fact. Said character arc is one of the greatest things in all of fiction, and hey, Rance is still the lovable asshole we all know and love in here, so I'm not complaining that much. Syl Plain is Rance's slave and very cheery and bubbly. She's also quite shy as well at times, and generally is the voice of reason for Rance, where if she wasn't there, he'd do a lot worse things. As I've said before, I really love Syl, despite all the hate she gets. She's a very traditional and beautiful heroine, and I just really like characters like that. I have no complaints about her, and she's just a very special character to me. Rizna Lothbed is the main heroine and a really, really great character. One of the best written of all time. Replaying this recently, it was quite odd, as I'm more used to the very ditzy and cheerful Rizna rather than the very gloomy Rizna that appears here. However, her being in such a state is very understandable with all she's gone through. Let's just say you feel really bad for her. Thankfully enough, she does get a happy ending at least, so that's good. Well, kinda, but I'm not gonna spoil Rance 10. That review will come soon enough, in a few years probably, knowing me and how few reviews I've been making as of recently. I just keep forgetting about it, I'm sorry. Athena 2.0 is Rance's robot slave pet? She's kinda hard to pinpoint what exactly she is, but she's also a special ed. She says some of the most zany and wacky things at some of the most random times. However, she carries through that 90s Rance charm, and I like that they keep stuff like that still in, even in the modern titles. Obviously, seeing as I've spent so much time with her after playing so many Rance games, I like Athena a lot. I might have mentioned this in a previous video before, but I've spent so much time with these characters that they feel like real people to me at some points. Anyways, yeah, Athena's pretty cool, and I've been growing to like robot girls a lot recently, so that's a bonus as well. Felith, or Ferris, whichever you prefer, I switch between the two, is Rance's devil slave, and like Rizna, you feel really bad for her in this game. And in hindsight, knowing what happens to her in the future, you feel even worse. She is mainly who I'm referring to when it comes to Rance doing really bad things in here. She's a really great and well-developed character though, and I like her a lot. Also, she's a scythe bro, so added points of awesomeness. And finally, there is Coppola. Coppola is a girl from the Free Cities, specifically Portugal, and deals a lot in trading stock, and is also obsessed with luck. She desires to be with a man who has great luck, which, as it turns out, is Rance. However, at the start of the game, she is with a bird. That stupid cuck, and the worst character in the Rance series. But seeing as a bird is a second fiddle who won't ever get any girls, Coppola, being the cool gal she is, eventually does turn to Rance. That's not really much of a spoiler. You probably already guessed it just by seeing the first scene with her that she's going to end up with Rance. Either way, Coppola's a sassy and cool gal who I like a lot. There are a wide array of all kinds of other characters, however, I'll leave it to you to find out and explore who they are. Now on to gameplay. Ooh boy, this is a doozy. I can't believe I just used the word doozy. Anyways, the entirety of this game is luck-based. Everything from the battles to how you advance is almost always determined by your own luck. There are two main ways of progressing. There is the point-and-click adventure system that you see in older Rance games, and then the roulette wheel of sorts, which will determine if you get a scene, battle, treasure, etc. Unlike most people, I actually like the system of this game. It's just kind of fun to chill out to and just see what the heck happens. It's not anything you should take too seriously, but I can admittedly understand why some people might get frustrated. For me, the bigger problem is just the time system, as I like to take my time when I play games. The battles also run on this same sort of system, and in worst case scenario, you can get trapped in battle infinitely. But like I said, it's just kind of fun to see how lucky or unlucky you can be. Though there are a few bosses, namely the Sunflower boss, that are just kind of pure BS. The system is certainly unique though, and I do like how the Rance series plays around with various different gameplay systems rather than sticking to the same thing every time, because that just gets boring. Graphics-wise, I really like the graphics of this game a lot. It has the early 2000s Orion style, but I'm very fond of said style. My only complaint really would be that there are very few CGs, but it is understandable as this is a very small game. There are many mini CGs that show up in dialogue as well, so that does increase the number by a bit. I don't know if I've ever really talked about sprite work on here, but it looks really nice in this game. While not as polished as Rance 6 or Sengoku Rance, I still like it a lot. The soundtrack is, like the rest of the game, really weird, but I like it a lot, actually. My favorite songs are either Turns Beat or All Your Power. Both are just really catchy, and All Your Power also has a bonus of being a really deep song as well, being pretty much Rizna's theme of sorts. Also, Japanese Beat gets a special shout out, as I will never forget that song. I would quote it, but I don't really like swearing, so yeah. Man, my laugh is autistic. So is Rance 5D worth checking out? Well, if you're willing to push through some kind of BS gameplay at times, I think that it definitely is. And seeing as it's bundled for free with Rance 6, you really can't go wrong picking it up. Especially since Rance 6 is 100% pure Kino 1010. On my recent replay through of Rance 5D, I enjoyed it a lot more than I had when I first played it. I quite liked the story a lot, and the gameplay was very entertaining, to say the least. So that's all for now. Bye, weebs.